in Iowa's Center for Learning and Leading. I'm also a professor at Seton Hall University in New Jersey. Yes, that's a bit of a commute from time to time. And I also teach at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. And Simon and I were fortunate enough to be speaking at the same conference a few years ago. And he asked the question in his session about achieving a sense of personal brilliance. And it was at a time when I was going through some transformation. And something inside of me boiled up. And for some reason, when he asked this question, it exploded. And I said, yeah! And of course, everybody looked at me, Simon included. And I said, I used to weigh almost 300 pounds. And everybody kind of looked at me. And I said, but wait, there's more. I'm also training for my first marathon, having just come in second to last in my first 5K. And at that moment, I realized that Simon was the catalyst for me releasing my inner brilliance, because that was the first time I had ever spoken publicly about my metamorphosis. See, years before, I realized that, like many women, I was suppressing my brilliance, right? I was a wife. I was a mom, I was a sibling, I was a daughter, I was a professional, but I wasn't me. And through that process, I realized I was tired of being a lump of coal, that I needed heat, that I needed pressure, and I needed change so that I could release my brilliance. And as a result of this aha moment, my brilliant voice has now shouted across the finish line of 7 national marathons. And thank you. And I did my next one in 2 weeks in Des Moines, Iowa. And as a result, I raised $10,000 for charity as a charity athlete with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's team in training and the Ed Thomas Family Foundation. So this connection that we have with our brilliance is not just a call to action for us as women, but it's a call to action for us as helpers to each other, as sisters and siblings to one another. Because not only do we release our brilliance, but we're called to do the same in others. And as you take away this sense of who are you when you are at your most brilliant self, how do you help others achieve and sustain their brilliance over and over and over again? So that's the message, that's the takeaway for me as a professor, as a consultant, as a speaker, is that every day, how do I touch someone else in the ways that I've been touched? And the law of reciprocity at work is a beautiful thing. Pay it forward isn't just about buying the person ahead of you in line a cup of coffee at Starbucks. It's about lighting the candle of somebody else so that we no longer hang out in the darkness, but we are surrounded by gifts of light. And that's the message that I want to leave here with you this afternoon.
She's getting off way too quick. Angie, you teach at Seton Hall about leadership, where leadership is going. Can you share with all brilliant ones just what you see on the horizon?
What I see on the horizon, specifically in the work that I do with nonprofits, is a lot of scarcity. We see, and it's not specific to nonprofits, but we see a leadership deficit. It was projected years ago, and we are right now smack dab in the middle of it. And for some reason, we are allowing others to be less than brilliant. And in some ways, we're promoting that. We're promoting mediocrity, which is only going to come back and bite us in the behind if it's not already doing so already. So I think the creativity, the mentoring that we've talked about, the volunteering, how do we creatively push others so they can fly? Even if it means that they haven't fully felt that they've found their wings yet. And that's where mentoring and coaching can play a critical role. So I think it's capturing leadership in the moment. There's 20,000 moments of leadership in a day. How do we make the most of it for ourselves? And then how do we place people around us in the right positions at the right time so that they can release their leadership brilliance as well? Am I done?